Welcome back to the Own a Coffee Cart channel, where you are watching us build our coffee cart franchise company in real time. And I'm excited to give a franchise update. We began our franchise company of franchising mobile coffee bars in October 2025, and we closed the Orlando territory in January of 2026, and we closed the Jacksonville territory in February of 2026. And now we are hopefully on our way for closing Tampa and St. Petersburg. And I don't know. I just feel excited. And honestly, there are waves. There are waves of fear of just the unknown in general. But the fact that we are really putting our best efforts in this, and we love the coffee industry, we love entrepreneurship, and getting to marry these two things together is a huge passion project for us. But also, we don't take lightly that these are real risks that people are taking, and the systems deeply matter to us, and the strategy and the vision and the leadership and all that stuff. It's just been really exciting to dream about, and equally as scary. And so we have 3 almost. In Jesus' name, we're going to close this 3rd one. I'm excited about it. One franchise consultant that I was speaking with was basically saying the franchisee, the person that you're becoming business partners with, is the most important aspect of this whole thing. To close franchise deals with people that you don't enjoy, the cash and the capital is not worth a 5-year relationship with somebody that you don't enjoy. And for us, it's such a big deal that the people that we're doing business with share our same values and are likable and love coffee and love people, and aren't just doing this because they're, trying to make a pretty penny or anything like that, which makes the whole process much harder. So far, the people that we have had conversations with and that we are in partnership with, I'm thrilled with who they are. And I would rather have 3 all-stars, hungry, smart, humble entrepreneurs that are hustling to build their businesses. I'd rather have 3 all-stars that are going to scale their cart business and maybe take multiple territories than try to pursue 10 individuals that each have 1 territory that are mid entrepreneurs maybe. And so I feel like my perspective is shifting a little bit, because our franchise goal this year was to have 10 founders. And while I do think we can have 10 founding territories, I think my mind is shifting to now really seeing our all-star entrepreneurs having multiple territories and really dreaming about scaling their coffee cart business, and not just trying to gain 10 coffee carts or 10 franchisees. And I don't know, it's all really exciting, and it's equally terrifying. And every time we've trained, we learn something new. We are exhausted and also thrilled to actually be working on this. And I just am excited to watch this video a year from now and look back and say, who knew that we would be here? I know that this is something that God has wired us to accomplish, and he's given us the ability to create and the ability to dream. And I just think about the wicked servant who didn't invest in the talents that he had. And every time we try something new, every time we take a risk, a business step of faith, I just always pray. I say, God, I pray that you would see these efforts as faithful, because we refuse to sit on the skill sets and the passions that you've wired us with. And we want to honor you with everything that we put our hands to. And so this is our attempt, and it's absolutely not perfect. It is flawed, but it's real. And our passion feels like it's in the right direction. And so I'm excited. I'm excited about what's next. It's another day, and I'm up early because if I don't work out, I get really messed up in my head and I get all dark and twisty. But I was just working out, and I was listening to this podcast on faith, and my algorithm is basically faith journeys versus financial stewardship and how to run businesses and blah, 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 all that stuff. And I just was feeling truly convicted this morning, because I realized while I feel disciplined in a lot of ways, but one area of discipline that I really, really lack is financial. But we end up using whatever we have saved. We spend our savings all the time, and then we resave, and then we spend it all the time, to the point of where I'm needing to pray for God's provision again. And I just had this aha moment of if I keep praying for God's provision and he keeps providing it, and then I keep wasting it, at some point he's gonna stop providing, because it's not a provision issue, it's a stewardship issue. And it's making me think through what steps I need to take to really put myself in a position where I'm practicing financial discipline more, like maybe doing a 30-day or a 90-day fasting, like spending freeze, or doing a Dave Ramsey class, or I don't know. I definitely need to put myself in the headspace of like run a tight ship, like get your act together, because I'm feeling more conviction than just like it's a good idea. Maybe that'll be something practical this week I'll work on. What a crazy week. Every single week I have a conversation with somebody that knows more than me, that's further than I am, that I can learn from. And this last week was no different. And one of the conversations that I had really forced me to think about the current structure of our franchise offering. Our coffee company, we've really been able to build on it because of the assets that we have. The personal assets being, we did have to personally guarantee like all of the things that we own, specifically our home, our cars, all of the coffee equipment. You know, we had to personally guarantee that or use that as collateral in order to be able to borrow. And then also the actual business assets, the coffee carts, the equipment, the stuff in the cafe, etc. So we've been able to build our business a lot on the assets that we've, acquired over the years. And that's for the Quigley Coffee Company LLC. Our franchise business is a new business entity that we've launched. But as it stands, the franchise entity owns no assets, because when we work with franchisees, the franchisee owns the coffee cart. And at the end of the term, if they want to sell it or whatever, they can choose what to do with their coffee carts. But I was thinking about Chick-fil-A. If you wanted to franchise a Chick-fil-A, Chick-fil-A corporate actually owns the Chick-fil-A. And you, as the owner operator, you lease back the restaurant from them, which is an interesting thought. And one person that I was speaking to said, why don't you consider leasing coffee carts so that franchisees can basically rent them from you every month while they're doing their business, so they don't have to buy it up front and they don't have to keep it when it's over. They would basically pay the insurance package on the franchise coffee cart to cover the basis, but the assets would be yours as a company, which I've never thought of. And I just was kind of I think I need to really think through our assets as a company, because that thought process made me realize how much we've been able to build and borrow based on the assets that we have. And our franchise company doesn't own anything. Our franchise company has no equipment because it's just the actual business offering. We sell the business partnership of people who come in and own the coffee carts. And so now I'm trying to think through, is it possible for us to work with a financing company that would finance the coffee carts and then we just lease them out? Or would we want to have the capital up front to be able to purchase all of the coffee carts and have them leased from us? What's the offering that we could do so that if let's say we launch 100 territories or 100 coffee carts, we as a franchise company would have 100 coffee carts worth of assets. This is all something that sounds way more out there, further than my little girly brain can process. But I also think that there's something to this, obviously learning from Chick-fil-A, which we're not offering anything remotely even like Chick-fil-A, but they have done quite a few things that are right. And one of them is that their franchise offering is that there's owner operators, but not necessarily that the owners own all of the stuff. Right now, we're in the process of renewing our franchise disclosure document, renewing our franchise offering, which includes paying a lot of money for an annual audit. And I'm just kind of clocking it in my mind that every year by April 30th, we will need to pay for a full company audit. And now is the time where if we're going to, rethink the structure or maybe add an option to lease the coffee carts, now would be the time to do that. I've got more meetings with lawyers. I'm still even learning how lawyers are paid. Every law firm is a little different. There's ones that have retainers. There's some that are hourly. There's some that they invoice monthly. But basically every month right now, I get some kind of invoice from a law firm and I'm I didn't know that they charge for that. And it's just good to know, adding it to my spreadsheet of annual legal fees and just looking back and saying, okay, what do I need to budget for this next year? Because gosh, there's just so much that you don't know about business ownership until you do it. Truly, I have no idea what I'm doing all the time. And also grateful for the pace of just getting to learn. I don't know if I've ever actually shown this part, small little vision board for places that am hoping and praying for. So if you actually look here, these are specific territories. This one is Jacksonville. This one is Tampa, the highlighted blue area. These are our specific places that would do well with coffee carts. Since we're launching our first ones, I just wanted to get really specific and have them in front of me all the time so that I could be praying towards them. And I just am excited to like see that 2 out of 5 of them are already there, and then just kind of crazy that potentially the Tampa one could be happening soon. And I'm just grateful and absolutely stressed. I have to stay full of joy. I can't let myself get all dark and twisty and in a hole, otherwise I won't come out of it. So thank you for watching. If you like this content, make sure that you like and subscribe because it supports the channel, and I will see you next week in our video.